The rope burned her wrists before the fear did. Anna Mae Collins stood still anyway. Chin up, shoulders back, she would not beg. The man selling her spoke fast, louder each second like noise could drown out shame. Grain. 1 sack. Enough to last a winter. Enough to decide her fate. Anna felt the crowd watching but not seeing. Then a voice cut through it. Calm, hard, unafraid. I'll take her home. Every head turned, and Anna knew something had just broken open. But she did not yet know if it was rescue or another trap. The summer of 1875 had burned Texas raw. Red Willow was a town scraped thin by drought, a place where dust crept into lungs and hearts alike. The creek was dry, the fields were dead. Men spoke of survival like a prayer and used it like a weapon. They had tied Anna's wrists with hemp rope outside Carter's general store. The knot was rough and careless, the kind meant for animals. She was 20, too thin now. Copper hair dulled by weeks of dust. Her blue dress clung to her skin, dark with sweat. She stared past the crowd because meeting their eyes hurt worse. Beside her stood Edgar Mullins. He called himself her guardian. He had no right to the word. His belly pushed against his stained shirt. His smile was sharp with need. "Hard times," he shouted. "Hard on all of us. I ain't proud, but I'm honest." He slapped her shoulder like she was a mule. Anna flinched but did not move. She can read, teach, cook, work, 1 sack of grain, that's all. A woman in the crowd spoke. "You're talking about her like she ain't human." Mullins snapped back. "You got 6 mouths at home, Martha. Don't preach hunger to me." Anna's mind drifted, the way it did when fear grew too loud. 6 months ago she had stood in a Missouri schoolhouse. Chalk dust on her fingers. Children laughing at crooked letters. Then fever. Then death. Then debts. Mullins had appeared with kind words and sharp eyes. "Help," he said. "Safety. South." She had believed him. The rope proved how wrong she'd been. "1 sack," Mullins said again, voice cracking now. "Anyone?" Silence stretched. Boots shifted. Hats dipped. No one stepped forward. Then came the voice. "That's enough." The man stood near the hitching post, half in shadow. Tall, lean. A dust-worn hat pulled low. His shirt was dark with sweat. His eyes were steady, gray-blue, fixed not on Mullins, but on Anna. Not pity. Not hunger. Recognition. I said, "I'll take her home." Mullins blinked. "Luke Mercer? Foreman up at Iron Mesa?" Luke stepped forward. The crowd parted without thinking. His boots moved slow, sure. "Cut the rope," he said, "now." Mullins laughed, thin and nervous. "Price is a sack of grain." Luke's gaze hardened. "You're not selling her, you're done." The sheriff shifted nearby, hand hovering at his belt. He said nothing. Anna swallowed. Her voice came out rough but strong. "He has no claim on me. I never agreed to this. He brought me here under lies and kept me locked away." A murmur rolled through the crowd. Mullins' face went red. "Ungrateful." Luke moved closer. Not fast, not loud. Dangerous all the same. "Step aside," he said, "before this turns bad." Mullins looked at Luke. At the crowd. At the sheriff who still did nothing. His shoulders sagged. "Take her," he spat. "More trouble than she's worth." Luke didn't answer. He drew a knife. Not as a threat, but as a tool. "This may sting," he said softly to Anna. She nodded. She did not flinch as the blade sawed through rope. The fibers snapped and fell into the dirt. Her hands flew apart. Blood rushed back hard. The world tilted. Luke caught her elbow. Strong, steady. "When did you last eat?" "Yesterday," she whispered. "Bread." His jaw tightened. He turned to the crowd. "Anyone got a problem with this can speak now." No one did. He helped her onto his horse, a calm bay gelding. He swung up behind her, arms careful, respectful. As they rode through Red Willow, Anna felt his presence solid at her back. No grabbing, no claim. Just balance. The town fell away. The wind cooled her skin. Her breath came easier. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Iron Mesa Ranch," Luke said. "Ruth Pike runs the house. You'll be fed. You'll be safe." "And after that?" He paused. "After that, you decide." Freedom felt too big to hold. Anna stared at the land rolling past, dry and endless. "Why did you help me?" Luke's voice was low. "Because I once didn't. And I won't make that mistake again." The ranch appeared as the sun dipped low. A wide porch. A turning windmill. A woman waiting, hands on hips, eyes sharp with concern. Ruth Pike took one look at Anna's wrists and went still. "Come inside," she said. "No questions yet." At the door, Anna looked back. Luke stood by his horse, watching her like he needed to know she was real. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. "Rest, we'll talk later." As Ruth guided her inside, Anna felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Not safety alone. Possibility. But as the door closed, she wondered what price might still come due. Anna woke with her fingers curled tight, like she was still holding the rope. For one hard moment, she forgot where she was. The bed felt too soft, the air felt too clean. Then her wrists throbbed and memory rushed back like a flood. She sat up slow. Pale dawn leaked through thin curtains. The room was plain but cared for. Whitewashed walls, a wash basin on a stand, a quilt stitched from old shirts and feed sacks, patched with steady hands. On a chair near the window lay a simple green dress and a pair of shoes that were not hers. Kindness could still feel dangerous. It made you wonder what it cost. Anna swung her legs over the side of the bed. Her knees complained, weak from weeks of too little food and too much fear. She crossed to the basin, poured water, and splashed her face. The cold made her gasp. In the small mirror, she studied herself. Copper hair tangled, cheeks too hollow, shadows under her eyes like bruises. But there was something else there too. A small change. Like the scared part of her had taken one step back, just enough to breathe. Voices drifted up from downstairs, the clink of plates. The smell of coffee and bacon slid under her door like a promise. Her stomach answered with a low, aching growl. Anna dressed in the borrowed clothes and paused with her hand on the doorknob. She listened again, not for comfort but for threat. No harsh voices, no stomping boots. Just a woman moving around a kitchen, busy and sure. She went down. Ruth Pike stood at the stove, flipping bacon in a heavy skillet. She was in her 50s with iron gray hair pinned back and sleeves rolled up like she was always ready to work. She glanced over and her eyes softened, just a little. "You're up," Ruth said, voice steady. "Sit down, Anna May, and drink this coffee." Anna hesitated. Ruth didn't push. She only set a cup on the table and went back to the stove like feeding a hungry person was as normal as breathing. A man sat at the far end of the table with a newspaper in his hands. He looked up over the top edge. Broad shoulders, weathered face, a beard touched with gray. His eyes were sharp, but not unkind. "I'm Amos Pike," he said and folded the paper. "This is my ranch. My wife runs the house because she runs everything." Ruth snorted, but her mouth twitched like she was holding back a smile. Anna sat slowly, careful with herself. "Thank you for letting me stay," she said. "I can work. I will work. I won't be trouble." Amos gave a short nod. "Eat first, talking comes after." Ruth set a plate in front of her with bacon, eggs, and thick bread. Anna's hand shook when she lifted the fork. She forced herself to chew slow. Her body wanted to rush, but Ruth's quiet watch kept her steady. As Anna ate, Ruth moved behind her and gently unwrapped the bandage on her wrists. The rope marks were deep and red. Ruth dabbed on salve that smelled like pine and something bitter. "You'll be sore," Ruth said, "but you'll heal." Anna swallowed. He did it in front of everyone. Ruth's fingers paused for one beat. "I heard," she said. "Luke rode in last night and told Amos. If Edgar Mullen shows his face here, he'll be carried off, one way or another." Amos didn't look up, but his voice was hard. "That town lets hunger make excuses, I don't." Anna stared at her plate. The words warmed her, but her fear did not leave. She had learned how fast warm words could turn cold. Ruth tied fresh cloth around her wrists and leaned closer. "You stay in this house," she said. "You sleep in that bed. You eat at this table. No one touches you without your say." Anna nodded, but her throat tightened. "I don't understand why." Ruth straightened. "Because a woman standing tied up in the street is wrong," she said. "Because letting it happen is wrong, too." The front door opened then. Boots on wood. A low gust of morning air. Luke Mercer stepped inside, hat in hand. His shirt was clean, but his sleeves were already dusted like he had been working since before sunrise. His eyes found Anna the way they had in town. Fast. Careful. Like he was checking if she was still here. "You're awake," Luke said. "I am," Anna answered. She hated how small her voice sounded in her own ears. She made it stronger. "Your ranch is quiet." Luke's mouth pulled slightly at one corner. "Iron Mesa is quiet until it isn't." He nodded to Ruth and Amos. "Creek line is still low," he said, "but the North Trough is holding." Amos grunted. "We keep moving cattle and praying, that's what we do." Luke's gaze drifted back to Anna. "How are your wrists?" he asked. "Sore," she said, "but better." "Good," he replied, and it sounded like he meant more than the word. Ruth cleared her throat loud on purpose. "Luke, finish your breakfast," she said. "Then you can do whatever stormy thinking you do out in the barn." Luke sat, but he didn't eat much. He drank coffee like it was medicine. Anna watched his hands, scarred, steady, the kind of hands that fixed fences and held reins, and yesterday, cut rope without shaking. When the ranch hands came in for their plates, they tipped their hats at Ruth and Amos. A few glanced at Anna, curious, but they didn't stare. That mattered. It let her breathe. After breakfast, Ruth sent the men out with their lunch sacks and chased them like geese. When the room was quiet again, Anna found herself alone with Luke near the back door. He hesitated, then spoke low. "I'm sorry you had to see that town the way it is," he said. Anna blinked. "I didn't see it," she answered. "I lived it." Luke flinched just a little. "You're right," he said. "I didn't mean to soften it." Anna looked at the floorboards. "I keep waiting," she admitted. "For the next part. For someone to tell me what I owe." Luke's voice stayed calm. "You don't owe me," he said. "Not for cutting rope, not for riding you here, not for food." "That's easy to say," Anna replied, and the edge in her voice surprised her. "Men say things." Luke nodded once. "Then don't take my words," he said. "Watch my actions." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded paper. He held it out, not pushing, just offering. "What is that?" Anna asked. "A letter," Luke said. "To the sheriff in Red Willow. I wrote down what you said, what Mullins did, what the crowd saw. Amos will sign it. Ruth will sign it. I'll write it in myself today." Anna's heart kicked hard. "The sheriff didn't stop it yesterday," she said. Luke's eyes hardened. "Then he can answer for it," he replied, "or he can finally do his job." Anna took the paper with careful fingers like it might bite. She didn't open it yet. The idea of ink on a page felt like power, and she was not used to power being offered freely. "If you go back," she said, "Mullins might—" "I know," Luke cut in, voice low. "That's why I'm going." Anna stared at him. "Why would you walk into trouble for me?" Luke held her gaze. "Because trouble walked into you," he said, "and you didn't ask for it." They stood there in the thin morning light. The house smelled like bacon and soap and salve. Outside, the ranch moved with steady purpose. And inside Anna's chest, hope and fear pressed against each other like two hands fighting for the same space. Ruth's voice called from the kitchen. "Luke, if you're leaving, you take Amos with you." Luke turned his head. "He's needed here," he said. Ruth stepped into the doorway, eyes sharp as nails. "So are you," she replied. "But you're going anyway. That means you don't go alone." Luke's jaw tightened. He looked back at Anna. For one breath, he seemed like he wanted to say something else. Something softer. Instead, he tipped his hat. "Rest today," he said. "Eat, let your hands heal." Anna nodded. "And if Mullins comes here?" Luke's voice dropped, steady as stone. "Then he learns what a line looks like when it's held." He walked out into the yard where Amos was already saddling a horse. Ruth watched them go with her arms crossed, worry hidden under anger. Anna stood at the doorway and listened to hoofbeats fade into the dry distance. She told herself it was only a letter, only a ride into town, but her stomach tightened anyway because she knew Red Willow had watched her be sold once, and she could not shake the fear that the town might try to take her back. Anna spent the morning learning the sound of safety, wind in cottonwood leaves, a pump creaking at the well, chickens scratching in dry dirt. Ordinary sounds. Sounds that did not ask anything from her. Ruth set her to small work, folding linens, sorting dried beans, nothing that pulled at her wrists, nothing that demanded speed. Every so often, Ruth glanced over like she was checking a weather line on the horizon. "You don't have to prove yourself today," Ruth said once, not unkind. "Rest is work too." Anna nodded, but the habit of earning her place clung tight. She folded anyway, neat corners, even stacks. It felt good to make order from something. By noon, the heat pressed down again, heavy and familiar. Anna moved to the porch where shade pooled against the house. From there, she could see the long road stretching toward Red Willow. Empty. Too empty. She tried not to think about Luke riding back into that town. About Edgar Mullins' mouth twisting when he realized the rope had snapped more than hemp fibers. About a sheriff, who had looked away once already. Ruth came out with a tin cup of water and handed it to her. "You're listening for hoofbeats," she said. Anna didn't deny it. "I don't want him hurt because of me." Ruth leaned against the porch post. "Luke's been hurt before," she said, "not the kind you see on skin." Anna waited. Ruth did not explain. She never filled silence just to fill it. The afternoon dragged. Heat shimmered over the pasture. Cattle shifted in slow, patient misery. Amos rode out to check a fence line, leaving the house quieter than it had been since dawn. When the sound finally came, it wasn't Luke's horse alone. Two sets of hooves. Steady. Fast enough to matter. Anna stood. Ruth did not tell her to sit. They waited together. Luke and Amos rode into the yard with dust on their boots and faces set hard. Luke swung down first, his jaw was tight. His eyes searched until they found Anna. "She's here," he said to Amos, and something in his voice eased a fraction. "What happened?" Ruth asked, already knowing it hadn't gone smooth. Amos wiped his brow. "Sheriff read the letter," he said. "Didn't like it." Luke snorted once. Didn't like being named. Anna's stomach dropped. "He won't help," she said. "He will," Luke replied. "Eventually, he said Mullins had papers." Anna stiffened. "He doesn't." Luke's gaze sharpened. "I know. We said the same. Sheriff wants proof." "What kind of proof?" Ruth asked. "Any that makes his job easier," Amos said, "which means more time." Anna's hands curled. Time had never been her friend. Luke turned to her, lowering his voice. "We'll get affidavits," he said. Mrs. Carter saw the rope. 2 men by the feed store heard Mullins name a price. Martha Jenkins spoke up. "They'll sign." "And Mullins?" Anna asked quietly. Luke hesitated. That told her enough. "He's angry," Luke said. "He rode out after we left, asked questions." Ruth's mouth went thin. "About where?" Luke met her eyes. "About Iron Mesa." The word landed like a stone. Ruth squared her shoulders. "Then he won't find answers." Anna felt heat rise behind her eyes. "I don't want trouble here." Luke's voice softened. "Trouble followed you here," he said. "That doesn't make it yours to carry alone." That night, Anna barely touched her supper. Her thoughts circled like hawks. She kept seeing the rope, the crowd, the way no one had stepped forward until Luke did. After dishes, Ruth handed her a candle and nodded toward the spare room. "Sleep," she said. "Tomorrow will be its own day." Anna lay awake anyway. The house creaked as it cooled. Coyotes called far off. She pressed her bandaged wrists to her chest and breathed through the tightness. A soft knock came near midnight. Her heart jumped. She sat up. "Yes?" The door opened a crack. Luke's silhouette filled it, hat in hand, shoulders framed by lamplight from the hall. "I didn't mean to wake you," he said. "Ruth told me you might not sleep." Anna swallowed. "I wasn't." Luke stayed by the door. "Careful." "I wanted you to hear this from me," he said. "Mullins may come here. If he does, Amos and I will handle it. You won't be alone." Anna stared at the quilt. "I'm tired of men deciding what happens around me." Luke nodded. "Then decide this," he said. "If you want to leave until it settles, I'll take you to my sister's place up north, or to the Pike's neighbor ranch. Or you can stay. Your choice." The word startled her, not the options, the way he waited. Anna breathed in. Let it out. "I won't run," she said, "but I won't hide either." Luke's mouth lifted just a little. "That's what I thought you'd say." She looked at him then. Really looked. The lines at the corners of his eyes, the stillness he carried like armor. "Why does this matter so much to you?" she asked. Luke's gaze drifted past her to a memory she couldn't see. "Because once," he said slowly, "I watched a wrong happen and told myself it wasn't my place. I rode away." Anna waited. "It didn't leave me," he finished, "so when I saw you, I stayed." The quiet stretched, not awkward, heavy. "I won't let him take me back," Anna said. Luke met her eyes. "He won't." The next day brought wind, dry and sharp. By noon, a rider appeared at the far fence. One man. Wrong posture, wrong horse. Ruth saw him first. Her hand stilled on the table. Luke reached for his hat. Amos stepped out of the barn, shotgun resting easy in his arms. Anna moved to the porch, heart pounding but spine straight. The rider came closer, Edgar Mullins. His smile was gone. He stopped short of the yard, called out loud enough to carry. "Girl belongs with me." Luke stepped forward. "Not today." Mullins' eyes flicked to Anna. "You coming?" he demanded. Anna's voice carried farther than she expected. "No." The wind lifted her hair. The ranch went still. Mullins spat in the dirt. "You'll regret this." Luke's reply was quiet. "So will you." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Mullins turned his horse away. Slow. Watching. Anna did not sit until he was gone. Her knees shook after. Luke stood close, not touching. Waiting. "That wasn't the end," Anna said. Luke nodded. "No," he agreed. "It was the beginning." And as the dust settled back onto Iron Mesa, Anna realized something else had begun too. A line had been drawn, and she was standing on the right side of it. The days after Mullins rode away did not soften. They sharpened. Anna felt it in the way Luke watched the road, in how Amos checked the fence twice before dusk, in the quiet tension that lived between ordinary chores. Iron Mesa kept moving, but every step felt measured. Ruth did not coddle her. That, Anna realized, was another kind of kindness. "If trouble comes," Ruth said one morning while kneading bread, We don't fold ourselves small waiting for it. We keep living. So Anna did. She worked. Slowly at first. Then with more strength as her wrists healed and her body remembered food. She helped Ruth in the kitchen. Sorted supplies. Mended shirts with careful stitches. Each task grounded her. Each one whispered that she belonged here now. If she chose to. Luke kept his distance during the day. Respectful. Watchful. At supper their eyes met more than their words did. Something unspoken stretched between them, thin, but steady. One evening as the sun bled orange over the mesa, Luke found Anna at the edge of the pasture watching cattle move like dark shadows. "You shouldn't be alone out here," he said gently. She didn't turn. "I wasn't scared," she replied. "I know," Luke said, "that's what worries me." She finally faced him. "I won't live afraid anymore." Luke nodded once. "Neither will I." They walked back toward the house together. Not close, not far. 2 days later the sheriff arrived. His name was Halverson. He rode stiff and dismounted slower than needed, eyes darting over the ranch like he was counting exits. Amos met him at the gate. Luke stood just behind. Halverson cleared his throat. "Got reports," he said, "conflicting ones." Anna stepped onto the porch. "I told the truth," she said. Halverson flinched slightly at her steadiness. "Mullins claims guardianship." Luke spoke. "Then he should prove it." Ruth handed Halverson a folded bundle. "Affidavits," she said. "Witnesses, signed." Halverson took them, fingers sweating. He read, his face darkened. "This won't be fast," he muttered. Anna's voice was calm. "But it will be finished." Halverson looked at her then. Really looked. He sighed. "Mullins won't be allowed near you while this is reviewed." Luke's jaw loosened. "You'll enforce that?" Halverson nodded. "I will." When the sheriff rode away, the ranch breathed again. Not easy, but deeper. That night, Luke sat on the porch steps with Anna, the sky wide and bruised purple above them. "I meant what I said," Luke murmured. "You choose your path now." Anna folded her hands in her lap. "I don't know where it leads." Luke looked out at the land. "Neither do I, but I know where it doesn't." She studied him. "You carry old guilt." Luke exhaled. "I earned it." Anna waited. "I didn't step in once," he said. "A long time ago, a girl younger than you, different town, same fear." Anna's chest tightened. "And you rode away?" "Yes." Silence settled. Not heavy, honest. "You didn't this time," Anna said. Luke turned to her. "No." Something shifted then. Subtle, like the earth moving before rain. The next morning, Ruth handed Anna a ledger and a stub of chalk. "You taught before," Ruth said. Anna froze. "How did you—" "I listen," Ruth replied. "There's an old storage shed by the north fence, dry solid. Children around here need letters as much as bread." Anna stared at the ledger like it might vanish. "You'd let me?" Ruth smiled. "I'd be proud." Luke watched from the doorway, eyes bright with something close to hope. By week's end, word spread. 2 families asked, then 4, then more. Anna stood in the empty shed one afternoon, sunlight slanting through dusty windows. She imagined desks, chalkboards, children sounding out words. Luke leaned in the doorway. "Looks like a school already." She laughed softly. "Feels like breathing again." He stepped closer. "You don't owe this place anything," he said. "I know," Anna replied. "That's why I want to give it something." Their hands brushed, neither pulled away. That night, Anna lay awake thinking not of ropes or crowds, but of futures. Of choice. Of how courage could grow quiet roots. And somewhere between fear loosening its grip and hope finding ground, she realized she was no longer waiting to be taken. She was choosing to stay. The school did not open with a bell. It opened with footsteps, small boots, bare feet, a wagon wheel creaking to a stop. Children stood outside the shed like it might bite. Anna watched from the doorway, ledger tucked under her arm, heart pounding harder than it ever had in Red Willow. "Come on in," she said, keeping her voice light. "You're safe here." They trickled inside. 12 of them, ranging from 6 to 14, sunburned faces, curious eyes. A few looked at her wrists first, as if the story had reached them before she had. Anna swallowed and began. Letters first sounds, chalk dust on her fingers. The rhythm returned like muscle memory. She paced slow, explained twice, praised small victories. When a boy finally shaped his name right, his grin cracked the room open. Outside, Luke leaned against a post, listening without looking in. Ruth joined him, arms crossed, smiling to herself. "She's where she belongs," Ruth murmured. Luke nodded. She chose it. Weeks passed. The drought still held, but something else grew. The school filled. Parents lingered at the door. Some asked questions. Others only watched, like hope was something fragile they didn't want to scare off. Anna worked through mornings and evenings. She taught children by day, adults by lamplight twice a week. Men who held reins like lifelines struggled through letters with clenched jaws. She never rushed them. Luke brought benches. Amos built a board for chalk. Ruth stitched curtains to soften the sun. One night, as Anna closed the ledger, Luke waited by the door. "You don't have to walk back alone," he said. She smiled. "I know." They walked anyway, side by side. Crickets sang. The land smelled faintly of dust and sage. "Do you ever think about leaving?" Luke asked. Anna considered. "Not anymore." He nodded. "Good." They stopped at the fence, silent, stretched, comfortable, full. "I don't want you to think," Luke began, then stopped. Anna met his eyes. "I don't," she said. The kiss came gentle, careful, like both of them were asking permission even as they answered yes. When it ended, neither spoke. Words would only shrink it. The sheriff returned before dawn 2 days later. Luke found Anna in the schoolhouse, chalk in hand. The look on his face tightened her chest. "It's over," he said. Her breath caught. "Over how?" "Mullins is leaving the territory," Luke replied. "Sheriff made it clear, no claim, no appeal." Anna sat down hard. Relief came sharp and sudden. It hurt more than fear had. Ruth wrapped her in a hug that smelled like flour and soap. "You're free," she said. Free, the word finally fit. That evening, Luke took Anna north beyond the cattle lines. A rise overlooked the land. Wind moved through dry grass like breath returning to a body. "I want to build something," Luke said quietly. "Here." Anna followed his gaze. "What kind of something?" "A home," he replied, "if you want it." She turned to him. Her heart was steady now. "I do." They did not rush. They planned. Boards, windows, light, a small garden, a place that would be theirs by choice, not rescue. Autumn came. Clouds gathered. One afternoon, rain fell. Slow, heavy, honest. Children poured from the schoolhouse, laughing and spinning. Anna stood in the doorway, tears mixing with rain. Luke pulled her into the downpour. They laughed like fools, like survivors. That night, under a sky scrubbed clean, Luke knelt. The ring was simple, his hands shook. "Anna Mae Collins," he said. "Will you marry me?" She did not hesitate. "Yes." Winter arrived gentle. They married by lamplight with Ruth and Amos standing close. The school paused for a week.